You probably already know how Nuzlocke work, but if you don't, here's the gist. You can only catch the first Pokemon you find on each route, you have to nickname every Pokemon you catch, and if a Pokemon faints, it dies. I've attempted plenty of Nuzlockes in my time, and I've only beaten one, and that was in Pokemon Shield, arguably the easiest game in the franchise to Nuzlocke. I want more of a challenge, so I made the terrible decision to attempt an Ultra Moon Nuzlocke. This is my story. The game opens with a Skype call from Professor Kakui. During this call, I'm given the ability to choose my look. Now, I am male, but I've always had the opinion that the female protagonists in Pokemon games simply just look better, and with the outfit they gave the male protagonists in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, this is especially true. Plus, the customization is also better. Let's be honest. So, I went with the pale, black-haired female character. And as for the name, I decided to be simple and go for the name I always felt the female protagonist should have had from the beginning. Luna. Then we watched the lengthy cutscene with a young girl being chased through a facility that is nearly unedited from the original Sun and Moon, outside of 2 brand new characters being added to it. Also, it took 3 whole months to move from Kanto to Alola, even though in that opening cutscene we were packing our boxes. How on earth? While heading towards Iki Town, I was attacked by a wild Yungoos, which is weird since these things aren't normally awake during the night, but whatever, we'll just skip past that, I guess. It makes no sense, but we'll ignore it. Suddenly, 3 Pokemon came to my side for a swift rescue. Rowlet, Litten, and Popplio. Outmatched, the Yungoos ran off. Professor Kakui showed up, revealing the 3 Pokemon to be his. I was then given a choice between the 3. In my first playthrough of Gen 7, I used both Litten and Rowlet thanks to trading, so I knew what I had to do this time around. For the sake of changing things up, I chose Popplio, who I named Cecil. Or at least that's what I wanted to name it, but I accidentally named it Sealsea. I'll be sure to fix that as soon as I can. My first battle was against an Alolan Rattata, who Sealsea easily took down by spamming Water Gun. I then ran to Hau, who ended up choosing Litten as his starter Pokemon, leaving Rowlet in the care of the Professor. This began my first proper trainer battle, and it was quick. Hau's Litten could only do light damage to Sealsea with Ember, while Sealsea did 3/4 of Litten's HP with a single Water Gun. Safe to say, Litten went down and Sealsea leveled up. During the battle, Sealsea was burnt, which perfectly introduces us to Pokemon Refresh. Due to the overpowered nature of Affection, I will not be using Pokemon Refresh to heal status conditions after battle. And from this point on, I will not talk about story events, only captures, major battles, and deaths. This is to speed things along, because if I talked about every little thing that happened in the story, we'd be here for ages. I'm attacked by Spearow while trying to save another Pokemon, but you know how these battles go. Sealsea spams Water Gun, and we win. Insert story stuff I won't talk about because it's not important to the Nuzlocke. Back on Route 1, Kakui shows me how to catch a Pokemon, as if I haven't played Pokemon games most of my life, before giving me 10 Pokeballs and 5 potions. I then encounter a wild Grubbin, who I had Sealsea hit with a few pounds before tossing a Pokeball, risking a crit that would have killed Grubbin. After catching it, I had someone else give me nickname ideas and ended up choosing Grubboy. Honestly, it's fitting. Grubbin really is just a little Grubboy. Now, Grubboy was extremely weak at the time, and struggled to take down even a level 3 Baniri. If that Baniri hadn't wasted several turns using moves like Splash and Foresight, I definitely would have needed to switch. While on the way back to Iki Town, I encountered the mysterious man and woman who appeared in the cutscene at the beginning of the game. At the Iki Town Festival, I have another battle with Alolan Hop. Wait, Alolan Hop? I must have made a mistake. This is clearly not Alolan Hop. This is Hau. They are 2 completely different characters. They definitely do not share animations. Hau opens with Pichu, while I lead with my newly caught Grubboy. I attempt to lower Pichu's speed with String Shot as Pichu uses Tail Whip. I have Graboy use Vice Grip, only to be paralyzed by Pichu's static and immediately hit back with a Thunder Shock. Despite the type disadvantage, I switch in CLC, who luckily isn't hit with another Thunder Shock. I Water Gun to avoid paralysis before being hit with a Thunder Shock and paralyzed anyways. Because of course. Why not? I'm hit with another Thunder Shock as I take Pichu down. I am lucky to be allowing healing items as Lidden comes in and I use a potion on CLC. Not that Ember would have killed, but still. Oh, and paralysis is still annoying as I fail 2 attacks in a row, winning the battle with only 4 HP left on CLC. What I said about not needing the potion? Yeah, I needed the potion. After beating Hao, Hala gives me the Z-Power Ring, which is currently worthless to me. What am I supposed to do with that? I literally don't have a single Z crystal. In the Howoli outskirts, I encountered an Inkay. I once again had CLC use Water Gun, then tossed a ball, capturing it and naming her Callie. I had a feeling Callie would be a great help later on in the game, assuming I don't lose the Nuzlocke before that point. Now, I know Howoli Outskirts is technically still Route 1, but I consider it to be a separate area because the map splits the southern and northern area of the route in two. Since the trainer school is also considered to be part of Route 1, this gives me 3 different encounters in Route 1. At the trainer school, I get the EXP share, which will be a lifesaver in this run and all runs to follow. Afterwards, I encounter an Alolan Grimer. Physical pain ensues as my entire strategy for a specific late game battle that I will not talk about because it gives me legitimate fear crumbles in front of me. I capture Grimer and name her Miasmaros after a mini-boss from the Kirby franchise. The 4 trainer school students are taken down fairly easy, with no casualties. Trainer Emily, however, uses the starter strong against mine, in this case, a Rowlet. Because of the Grimer from earlier, I have a Pokemon with a type advantage. I begin the battle by poisoning Rowlet as Miasmaros takes a tackle. Another tackle hits Miasmaros before Miasmaros gets a critical hit bite. At this point, a critical hit tackle kills Miasmaros, so I have to switch out. I switch into Callie, who takes a tackle with much less damage than Miasmaros, then retaliate with Peck as she tanks a Leafage. As Callie is weakened, I switch into Graboy to tank a Leafage as Rowlet falls to the poison, winning me the battle with no casualties. At some point I accidentally enter the Festival Plaza. This does nothing for me outside of forcing me to do the tutorial for it. The extremely long, extremely boring tutorial. In Howoli City, I encountered an Abra. I tossed a Great Ball, and it broke free immediately, eliminating a possible capture. Not only do I get the wrong school encounter, but I fail my Howoli City encounter as well. Next, I battle Alima. This battle is often cited as one of the earliest run killers in the game. Let's see how accurate this is. Alima leads with Yungoos as I lead with CLC. This Yungoos is ridiculously tanky, taking almost no damage from CLC's Water Gun. After a long and tedious back and forth showdown with a lot of switching and healing, Yungoos finally goes down, and Lima sends in Smeargle. I send in Miasmaros and poison Smeargle, then begin to use Harden, only for Smeargle to get a full heal, requiring me to poison Smeargle yet again. Now it's time to stall out Smeargle with healing and defense boosts. Constant healing, constant defense boosts. A Quick Claw proc allows Miasmaros to land a Bite, making Smeargle flinch and finishing the battle with poison damage, defeating the first run killer deathless. On Route 2, I encounter another Abra, once again attempting to catch it in a Great Ball, and once again failing. Just my luck. In Howley Cemetery, I encounter a Murkrow. It nearly killed Sealsea. I can't speak, whatever, I'm gonna continue. It nearly killed Sealsea, but that's unimportant. Eventually, I caught the Murkrow, naming him Al. Before the beginning of the first trial, I wanted to grind a bit, so I wanted to prepare, so I did a small amount of grinding to get Sealsea to level 15. Now, during trials, your Pokeballs are disabled, which means you cannot capture wild Pokemon. So, my Verdant Cavern encounter will not be until after this trial. In the fight against Totem Raticate, I lead with Sealsea, taking a bite and flinching before Raticate calls an ally Rattata. Then Sealsea flinches again after being hit by another bite. After spamming a bit of Baby Doll Eyes and a bit of Disarming Voice, Sealsea took down the dreaded first trial, getting us our first Z Crystal, Normalium Z. The mysterious folks from earlier introduced themselves as Fico and Solaria before leaving yet again. I then encounter an Alolan Rattata on my way out of the cavern, naming him Remy. On Route 3, I encountered a Mankey, catching him and naming him Monkey. At some point afterwards, we have our first evolution, as Sealsea evolves into Brionne. In Melemele Meadow, I encounter a Flabebe, catching her and naming her Dryad. Inside the Seaward Cave, I encounter Fico and how do you even pronounce these names? Fico and Soliara, once again, this time being challenged to a battle by Soliara. Soliara has one Pokemon, a Furfrou. My own Pokemon are injured, and I was caught off guard by this battle. I have Sealsea use Icy Wind in order to lower Furfrou's speed, as Furfrou goes for a Headbutt. I switch out for Al, as Furfrou uses Sand Attack. Then Baby Doll Eyes immediately after. I have Al use Haze to eliminate the stat changes on Al, at the cost of also losing the speed drop on Furfrou. At least I think that's how it works. I have Al use Wing Attack, which does basically nothing. And as Furfrou continues to spam a ton of stat drop-in moves, Al lands a critical hit pursuit. I switch back into Sealsea as Furfrou growls. Yet another growl, and then Sealsea retaliates with Water Gun, KOing Furfrou and winning the battle. So anyways, with no time to rest, I'm immediately challenged by How. I lead with Sealsea as he leads with Litten. Luckily, I got a free heal between the Solaria fight and this one. Sealsea uses Water Gun, taking out Litten in one shot. Next comes out Pikachu as I switch in Miasmaros. I have Miasmaros use Poison Gas, then begin to spam Bite and Acid Spray until Pikachu falls. Next out comes Noibat. I switch Sealsea back in, defeating Noibat with a single Disarming Voice. I return to the Seaward Cave where I encountered a Zubat. Thanks to SOS encounters, this Zubat took a while to catch, and thanks to annoying confusion, I needed to switch around a bit as well. Eventually, I capture Zubat and name her Barbara. Before facing Hala, I take Remy off the team, replacing him with Monkey, and I give the Normalium Z to Sealsea. And now it's time for the Kahuna battle. Hala leads with Machop, and I lead with Sealsea. I attempt to land an Encore, but I am too fast, and I am immediately hit with a Revenge. I then hit a disarming voice at the cost of being hit with a boosted revenge. I switch in Miasmoros as Machop hits a karate chop. I then use a super potion on Sealsea as Machop uses focus energy. Next, I switch in Kali as Machop uses another revenge. I have Kali set up a reflect, lowering the damage from revenge. Next, I switch into Grubboy, taking another revenge before paralyzing Machop with a spark, only to get hit by a critical hit boosted revenge, KOing Grubboy, our first death. I switch back into CLC and use Z Encore, boosting CLC's speed by one stage and forcing Machop to continue using revenge. I then finish off Machop using Disarming Voice. Next out, Makuhita, who opens with a Fake Out, causing CLC to flinch. This is also around the time Reflect wears off. I encore Makuhita into spamming Fake Out, allowing for an easy knockout. Finally, Cribrawler comes in, and I switch in Al. Al hits a wing attack before being hit with all-out pummeling, he got hit by an all-out pummeling. Now, you'd think this would bring him to 0 HP, however, Al survived at 15 HP. Insane. That's just the power of taking neutral damage, I guess. I switch back to CLC, taking Cribrawler to low health with a disarming voice. Hala heals Cribrawler, but in the end, it does not matter. 2 more disarming voice uses take it down, winning the battle, but not without loss. We may have beat the first Kahuna, but it had its own cost. Grubboy, the first Pokemon I caught in this playthrough, dead to revenge. But in the end, the only one being avenged was him. We now have the Phytinium Z, and are ready to leave Melemele Island. I then obtain the Ride Pager, allowing me to ride Tauros and destroy boulders.